He's worked for NASA. He's presented at APEC, I think 3 or 4 times already. He's a real pro in this field. And it's great to actually meet him in person. He's actually a lot more charming in person than on the APEC conference. So without further ado, let's get to Mike Gamble.
Mike, we got to get you a better camera. Where's Mike?
Seattle, Puyallup, exact. But I worked for Boeing for 30 years. And before that, I traveled around on their airplanes, racked up about 800,000 miles.
Yeah.
I lived on the jets for a while. And yeah, that when cell phones first come out, we had the big brick, the Motorola brick.
I remember that.
Yeah, that you had that on one hip and you had a pager on the other, one for incoming, one for outgoing. Now you just little flat box you stick in your pocket. And
well, that was before text messaging and SMS even. I mean, this is, we're going way back here, guys. So
early 80s.
You have no idea, people, the things you're going to see when you're my age. I just, yes, brace yourselves.
Yeah, things change fast.
Yes, they do. So this stuff that we're all talking about and is just breaking, here now. This is like the birth of the internet, basically. 25 years ago. We're going to see in the next 20 to 30 years is going to be effing incredible, for lack of better words. So it just blows my mind how much information has come out in the last 3 years. It seems like I've had to spend I've had to like sacrifice quality in the formatting just to get the information out, and now I'm having the task of going back over all this information and trying to condense it and explain it to people and get it out to larger audiences and stuff. People can't believe that Boeing did anti-gravity research, and then we get the guy on who worked for Boeing doing a lot of that research to say, yeah, no, this happened. This is real, and in the flesh.
Yeah,
it's incredible. So like, why don't you talk a little bit about more about what did you learn at the conference, and did you have how'd you like the conference so far? And
conference is great. I've been coming here, for quite a few years. Boeing used to sponsor my trip down here, and I pitched a lot for Boeing. I retired in 2015, so I don't pitch for Boeing anymore, but I still pitch similar stuff. I've pitched gravity, I've pitched gyroscopes. Today I pitched Tesla. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but back in 1931, Tesla built the original electric car. It was a Pierce Arrow. He pulled out the gas engine, put in an 80-horse electric motor, and drove it without batteries. And we still haven't recovered that technology.
Where did the energy go? It's like there's got to be a battery somewhere. So was it inductive loops? Are they putting the energy into an inductor or a capacitor, or
whip antenna on the back where he brought in the ether power?
That's some amazing stuff. I have to look into that, man.
I've been looking into it for 5 years.
Yeah.
And this year I got close. I'm a little bit better than on the good side of things by a couple of watts. But I've been at it for 5 years since I retired.
That's fascinating. So I don't know. This is I gotta step out for a second. I gotta use the bathroom, but I gotta get up here. Mark, why don't you just jump in here, man? This is like, I gotta switch.
I'm just listening, being like, that's so cool.
Yeah, well, so cool is my last name.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah, literally. Okay, perfect. I get the hot seat now. I hope everyone's still watching on APEC. This is actually one of the longest streams we've done in a while, but it's well deserved. We're here in the person. He's real. I could shake him, it's different than seeing him, over Zoom all the time. And she's real as well. She showed up and got us beer.
I am. I have beer. I'm good.
We have this beer as well. I haven't tried the alien.
cool.
Yeah, do you want?
Hey man, I
pass
want
it.
to talk about physics. I want to talk about the aliens. I'm here. You guys
it's-
know what's up.
It's actually,
NASA?
it's actually like a little it's a little crisp. It could be a little colder, but
I'm sorry.
great
I
beer.
tried.
Oh, we got another one.
He was at the front desk.
Look at this.
I
Oh, here's
was
ice
there.
cold,
I was
ice
like,
cold alien beer. So, Gamble, let's get back to the science. We were talking actually earlier about a gyroscope device, and it seems like we had identical ideas on how to build it.
When I worked at Boeing from about 95, I worked in a laboratory where they had big, huge gyros that were used for space propulsion systems. And we worked on those, and Boeing was retiring that technology. However, out in mainstream or real world, it was quite a revelation. And another conference asked me to build a working model of it, which I have done. And it's been demoed at this conference and a couple other conferences. That's the other line of work that I'm currently in as far as retired.
Oh, okay. We also talked about an idea of using an outrunner motor. For those who aren't familiar, there's two different types of motors when it comes to AC. You could either have the axis spindle spinning inside the motor with bearings in there.
The armature's either inside or outside the stator.
Right. And you could have the outside of the motor spinning. That's called an outrunner motor. So the idea that we both came up with independently was you can stick using an outrunner motor where the outside of the motor actually turns. You can press on a gyroscope or flywheel to that and then use the axis point, put another bearing around that, and you'd have a very sturdy gyroscope.
Like I said, I've been working on the gyros here for, can I mention the name?
Sure.
Oh, COFE Conference, Tom Valone. And we've been, the little gyros we've been working with don't generate a lot of thrust. So we're going to the next step now of building bigger gyroscopes and then servoing them like the small ones, but to get a little more power out of them.
Yeah, it's also an issue of bearings, and you're probably running through a lot of bearings and destroying the motors and stuff from all the friction caused by the rotation of those components. So those are things we're going to have to talk about in the future in order to get this built as robustly as possible. Michael, who was on the APEC conference earlier talking during the open session or the Q&A, is actually helping me with this project, looking into different motors, and we're going to pick out some good components to try to build this device.
Yeah. Anyway, you need to send a copy to Tom there, because he's been bugging me to do the same thing. And if you're already doing it, I'd just soon let you do it.
Oh, it's probably a lot easier to build, build 10 of them than it is to, it's not that harder to build 10 than it is to build one. Yeah, there's the setup that we're going to have to cut some parts on CNC. And once we get that straightened out, we can build 10 of them. There's no issue.
That's the thing, is to get the technology into hardware.
Yeah.
Because the first one takes most of the time and they're a lot easier after that.
Right. You thinking of it as a product that you'd actually sell, or is there a market for something like that in inertial? Because it's only creating a couple grams of thrust at most.
The big Boeing ones we had were 2-foot wheels spinning about 15 to 20,000, and they generated a couple 100 pounds of thrust.
Okay, well, we're not going to be on that level. I think the limits are probably a 6-inch wheel.
That would give you enough heartburn.
Yeah, but how much thrust do you think we could ask out of that?
Well, I could give you an exact number with my equation, which I don't have with me, but rough guess, you'd get a couple of pounds.
Wow, a couple of pounds of inertial of propellantless propulsion using gyroscopes. That would be amazing if we can get that done. And the propulsion is actually coming from the servo, right?
Yeah. Well, you're moving a mass differentially. The easiest, can they see my hands?
Yeah, they can see your hands. Look at the camera.
Oh, okay. if you have two gyros spinning and you do what we call scissoring or differential operation, you move them alternate directions, and the differential converts to linear motion.
That's
From rotary to linear.
but this is not a technology that we found that could perform a vertical liftoff, right?
You only get small amounts of thrust. The one the thrust to weight ratio is really bad. But once you get it in space, they work very good for station keeping because you don't have the vehicle weight to worry about, but they still generate the same amount of power.
What other low-hanging fruit of technology would you consider looking into other than the gyroscopes?
Well, you come here, you get blasted with it from all directions.
Some of them, if they work, are at the top of the tree. They're talking about stuff that, I don't even know how to replicate, but
yeah. But anyway, the one that I picked off was reverse engineering Tesla's magic motor. And when I first heard about it, being an auto mechanic, it kind of tickled my ears a little bit. So I pursued that, and it's starting to bear fruit finally.
Oh, really? Is there anything you can share right now?
Well, the pitch was I'm a couple ounces to the good on power. I started with not very much power. The conversion efficiency was not that good. Last year, I would say I broke even at about 31 watts. This year, it was 26 watts. So I'm a little under. I have a few ideas I'm going to try for next year if Steve decides to invite me back, which he usually does. He kind of likes what my angle, I guess, or anything to do with Tesla. That's what he promotes. So
Steve's a great guy. I mean, it really takes a personality like that to hold a conference like TeslaTech together, especially with the post-pandemic world, or some will say pandemic world. We're dealing with a lot of cancellations. We're dealing with a lot less people showing up, but still he managed to put this together, hold it together. Is there any other conferences that you go to as well?
Well, the COFE conference, which is usually runs co-located here, I usually pitch at both of them. I usually pitch gyros at the COFE.
What does COFE stand for?
Conference on Future Energy.
That's from Tom Valone, right? Tom, I think, is on the call right now.
Oh, well, I'll give him a plug then. That's Integrity Research.
Yes.
And sorry you couldn't be here because this was another good one.
Yeah, it was definitely a really great conference, meeting all the people, having everything together. Another great thing that happened at TeslaTech, I think I mentioned earlier, but while the speakers were going on about the different harmonic frequencies that you needed in order to run their experiment, I was on eBay, or the anti-gravity research store, looking for amplifiers, and I wanted a wideband amplifier to be able to try, quarter wave, half wave, whatever, a lot of different options. And there was only one place in the country that had these amplifiers. They had 6 of them in stock, and they were 20 miles from here.
Right down the street.
Literally right down the street. So we went to check it out. They had a ton of shit. Like, they had warehouse upon warehouse of all the junk that it's not really junk, it's working equipment coming out of Sandia and Los Alamos labs. So we're like diving through Los Alamos's and Sandia's labs dumpster over here in order to make the anti-gravity happen.
Yeah, you find a lot of good stuff at the secondhand stores, the thrift stores.
I mean, this is stuff that you probably couldn't even find new anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. It's not like a monetary issue. Like, you can't find this equipment even brand new. One thing that I found that was kind of interesting was a gigahertz amplifier, a pulsed gigahertz amplifier, radar or alzaphon. Yeah. And guess what the name of the company was that made it? They called themselves Space.
Picked a good name.
Yeah, somebody up there has a sense of humor. Here, Jeremy, why don't you hop in,
guys? I just want to let everyone know that it is 8 o'clock here, and we have food downstairs waiting. We haven't eaten dinner. We've been doing the conference. So it is down there right now. It is time right now. That's what time it is. So I'm going to wrap up this live stream, guys. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us. We'll be doing another live stream probably tomorrow, and we'll of course be partying tonight and recording cool stuff and hanging out. So TeslaTech 2021. Thank you all.
Well, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So does that mean you're wrapping things up for this evening? Should we wrap up the show?
I'm ready to wrap up here. You guys can keep this the conference going on the Zoom call as long as you want. We might jump back on. I can transfer the host. I'm going to end the stream on YouTube right now, guys. Thank you, everyone in the live chat. Later, guys. Be safe. Yes. Hang out much.
Catfish. Bye, Mr. Catfish. I love you.
Much love, Paul, Newman, Anthony, Dan. What's up, man? Beam me up, Scotty. Everyone. Hey,
Well,
thank you so much.
Thanks again, guys. So I think I will shut things down too. We'll probably call it a night, and I will start editing then. So I'm gonna end things now. Thanks again. Sounds like things went very, very well, and you guys have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Peace out.